This is sneaky hot news.
Hot news.
Hot news or not news time. All right. Jeremy, Drew Brees tweeted on Sunday night that his future's undecided and that he may play football again, among other things. Pickleball, a lot of options. Take a listen to what Saints head coach Dennis Allen said yesterday about Brees' tweet.
My wife's the one that told me about it because I don't follow social media. So I thought, well, that's interesting. That'll bring up some questions tomorrow at the golf tournament. So I think it was a comment made in jest, and we certainly hadn't had any conversations in that regard.
Hot news or not news? All this Drew Brees stuff, Jeremy.
Max, not news. I mean, that arm looked shot. He had some shoulder issues late in his career with the Saints, 2020. Couldn't really deliver the ball downfield. Now we're talking, 16, 18 months later, he's going to be able to come back and do that. I'm just not so sure. I know he's Drew Brees. I know some teams are desperate, like the Carolina Panthers. Some others need a quarterback, but I'm just not hearing any buzz league-wide that something would actually happen.
See, I think this is blazing hot news. Not about just this tweet, but the tweet that came right after where he said, man, signing Juice Landry and Matthew makes me want to come back and play again. Great additions, leaders, and players. So me hearing that, Jeremy, that puts incredible pressure on Jameis Winston coming off this injury. And it just starts the conversation internally from fans being like, if Jameis can't get it done, Drew Brees sure as hell does look good on the sideline.
I don't think it's hot news about Drew Brees. The hottest news I heard is Dennis Allen doesn't follow social media. Let me tell you what the problem with that is. You might not like it. It's like people who refuse to watch TV. That's the way, that's a part of the world now. You can't deny it. You can't get the toothpaste back in the tube. If you're not following social media, at least to some degree, then you're not existing in the 21st century right now. You want that guy as your head coach? Maybe yes.
Jeremy, you don't think that puts a lot more pressure on Jameis Winston to a degree when your Hall of Fame quarterback is the one saying, maybe I'll come back and play or not while you're coming off injury?
I mean, yeah, Jay, maybe if they start 1-4 and he's playing poorly, I could see it. But to me, I think they moved on from Jameis Winston a year ago, and they were comfortable getting somebody with a little bit of a stronger arm that could drive the ball downfield, reinvent their offense. I just don't get the sense the Saints are in the place where he would come back. Unless he's just fully healthy, had the shoulder surgery, looking great, can sort of deliver the ball like he could 5 years ago, maybe they'd reconsider it. I really just don't see it based on where the team is now.
All right, I'll stop being a germ spreader.
He developed a taste for avocado ice cream maybe, and now suddenly he can throw. Speaking of comebacks, after Leonard Fournette asked on Instagram how many number 7 jerseys he's going to see in the stands during the 2022 season, Gronk replied, I'll represent a 7 jersey in the stands for you. Is that in the stands for you, Jeremy? Hot news or not news?
This is not news. Gronk's probably going to play. He's taking his time. There's nothing new to report right now. The Bucs are just sort of waiting, but they believe that Gronk is going to be their tight end in 2022. This could be just a little nudge to Tampa Bay, like, hey, I could retire unless you sweeten the pot, throw a little money my way, get me a better contract for next year.
Yeah, Jeremy, I'm with you. Not news. I think what Gronk really meant to say is he'll represent a 7-figure paycheck to pay me to come back to play, sweeten the deal, and then you'll see me.
Yeah, I think also he doesn't want to go through all the rigmarole,
of course not.
that a younger player may have to go to. He'll play when he's good and ready and skip all that stuff. And by the way, how important is Gronk still on the field? Guarantee you, season on the line, he catches minimum 1 touchdown, right? Like, he actually has an impact on the field. He's not just a mascot. And if he doesn't play for the Bucs, I don't like them in the NFC. If he does, I think I do. Sean McVay says the Rams are continuing to work toward re-signing Odell Beckham Jr. Is that hot news or not news, Jeremy?
It's lukewarm news. I mean, it's not news in the sense that the Rams are going to say that. There's really nothing else to say. You know, they'd like to bring any good player back at the right price. That doesn't mean they actually want to pay them market value. But it's hot news in the sense that Odell Beckham was probably going to win the Super Bowl MVP for them a few months ago before he got hurt. I mean, the guy was balling. He was looking like his old self. And, you know, he would probably like to stay in L.A. If all things are equal. But this is a player who's not really going to be ready till October, late October at the earliest, probably more like November. That's what other teams are budgeting. So this will be especially hot news if the Packers or somebody else get heavily involved here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think this is news, but Jeremy, it is interesting considering that the offensive scheme is already in place. OBJ has spent time there. Yeah. He knows that, right? Even though that they had the addition of Allen Robinson, he can come back on a title contender. They probably have the best odds in the NFC. But what is the right price for him, though, Jeremy? What would you say the right price from the Rams' perspective for OBJ is?
See, it's tough to gauge because of A, the injury, B, this is a guy who's a little older now, has already played the length of a major contract that he signed with the Giants years ago. And, Odell Beckham, we all agree, is probably a superior talent to Jarvis Landry. But Jarvis Landry is a multi-time Pro Bowler and just signed a deal with New Orleans for $3 million plus some incentives. So, it's hard in these free agency streets right now. There's not a ton of money. I just don't see Odell Beckham getting like $12, $15 million a year right now. I think he's going to take a 1-year deal at decent money to build up his value again. So late in the year, if he's playing like himself, late 2022, he can cash in back in March of next year.
I actually think this is hot news because it went from, they'll probably figure something out to, no, wait, Odell might be gone. And if this is trending toward him staying, once again, like Gronk in Tampa, if Odell, that's to have him as a luxury, not a necessity. Odell Beckham, who would have been Super Bowl MVP, still a baller. Not like just a guy, a baller when he's healthy. I like the Rams in the NFC. If they have Odell, I like the Rams. I think it's hot news.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you reported over the weekend that Zach Wilson gained 8 pounds of muscle this offseason. Is that hot news or not news?
Oh, it's hugely hot news. This is major breaking news. It's about 8 pounds worth of news, right? It's not much, but it's significant in that, Zach Wilson's locked in. I mean, I think of all the year 2 quarterbacks, he probably got the most help this offseason. And, he's locked in to the point where I was told he worked out in 3 different states with various receivers, went to Tennessee, went to Florida, went to Texas to meet guys personally, work out with them. So he's taken all the necessary steps to have a bigger year 2, and the Jets like the way he finished last year.
Yeah, look, whatever helps his durability by staying on the field, putting on size and weight strength-wise, I think helps that. But it does, even though they got all the talent in the draft and what they were able to do, you still wonder, we counted, 7 games that we thought maybe they could win? So it's still going to be a long journey. I just hope he's more durable during the journey.
Oh, I think this is scorching hot news. And by the way, I know, Jeremy, you're working on a follow-up. Trey Lance skips lunch, right? So this is scorching hot news from Jeremy Fowler. 8 pounds worth. Jeremy, Joe Judge says he's working with Mac Jones and Patriots quarterbacks, but that nothing's been declared or decided or voiced in terms of who calls plays. Is that hot news or not news?
On the surface, it's not news, but what's bubbling under the surface could be hot news in the sense that Bill Belichick could essentially be calling the plays here. He could be the play caller. Now, I know it's collaborative, and New England does things a little differently than most teams. But, there's some whispers that, Belichick's going to sort of be the guy, and you got Matt Patricia now involved, helping coach maybe the offensive line. You got Joe Judge in the mix, but it is a huge mystery how they're going to attack this in-game play calling situation. And so if Joe Judge is maybe a prominent part of that, then that's hot news. But if he's just working with Mac Jones a little bit, it's just a coach kind of helping out where he can.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Jeremy. I don't think it's hot news. I just think it's Joe Judge, working with Mac Jones here and there for some things that they're working on scheme-wise. I don't think it's a big thing.
I think it's kind of hot because anything around what the offense is going to look like without McDaniels is significant, right? Bill Belichick made his bones as one of the great defensive coordinators who ever lived. But without Josh McDaniels, am I wrong, Jeremy, to say that the offense has suffered in the past?
It has. I do get the sense that they were looking for a little bit of fresh start, maybe some new ideas. They loved what Josh McDaniels did, but I think they're maybe looking forward to the possibility to kind of reinvent some things over there. I feel like maybe things got a little stale at times.
Yeah, I get it. And with Joe Judge's work with Daniel Jones, I could understand why they'd want to just hand over the reins of the offense to Joe Judge.
As a Giants fan, I love this.
Yeah.
Go ahead to the AFC. Good job. Good luck over there.
I think they should make Joe Judge in charge of the whole organization. Forget Belichick. Thank you, Jeremy. As always.
Jeremy, get those bars ready for next time you come on, man.
You usually have these.
You got a high standard.
Last time you had fresh 16.
I'm going to get pen and paper.